Every moment of conscious attention towards a particular thing is a sacrifice of the potential to be conscious of every other thing at that moment in time. Thus, our orientation of consciousness defines our values. An identity is a commonality of this orientation of consciousness. In other words, a commonality of values. This includes personal identity, communal identity, national identity, and even global identity. At the center of any identity is the ultimate value that orients all the other values. As you move out to the edge, into the unknown, things become less defined, more ambiguous. At the individual level, you can think of this as the spectrum of consciousness to subconsciousness, with the unconscious lying outside, aspects not yet integrated into the identity. As an identity expands in scope, these two polarities each play their own role. The center of the identity, that which is most integrated or normative, maintains the stability of the identity. The ambiguous, strange, or otherwise unintegrated aspects at the edge of identity confront and integrate the unknown. This is our connection to the chaos that provides innovation and flexibility. Recently, Western societies have realized the importance of the fringe and its capacity to provide hope for change. The stability at the center can be too rigid and alienating and prevent the innovation at the fringe to occur. For decades now, we've had dozens of quite valid ideological movements meant to highlight the importance of the unintegrated parts of society, represented both in our political and social movements and in our cultural narratives and creative expression. However, I believe many postmodern movements have missed the forest for the trees. Their doubt in the validity or importance of meta-narratives, including the systems of values which provide stability of identity, to them justifies the dismantling of all systems of identity. They cast off any narrative of normativity as oppressive. They seem to see the only worthwhile activity to be embracing the fringe and placing it at the center of our attention whenever and wherever possible. This is an understandable misunderstanding, particularly considering the dialectical perspective animating most modern philosophy. This perspective claims that everything new is created by values, or patterns of consciousness, conflicting with other values. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And the greatest pairing of thesis and antithesis is the center of an identity with the fringe of an identity. But this vision of a march of progress leaves stability completely out of the equation, as if it's something that'll just happen by itself. Clearly, it doesn't. Consequently, I believe this desire to integrate the fringe needs to incorporate its own antithesis. The progressive change birthed from the conflict of values needs to be balanced with conservation of values through continual renewal and reintegration of identities with their cultural narratives. Just like how at an individual level we need to balance our conscious actions out in the world with self-conscious contemplation of the world, on a societal level we need to balance our progressive integration of the fringe and the deconstruction of our values with the conservation of our values through collective self-reflection on the cultural narratives that orient our common values. This collective self-reflection on values has a name. It's called religion. I know many people are scared or annoyed with that word, but it is what it is. Even if you don't believe there is anything in the past worth renewing, that values are inherently transient, and that the good is always relative to the existing systems of power, and that all systems not oriented towards equity of power need to be dismantled as quickly as possible, I may not agree with you, but that's fine. You just have to accept that this belief is religious. Whatever your belief about the proper orientation of identity, including the belief that there is no proper orientation, whatever your belief about what is good, that's your religion. And the sooner this is accepted, the sooner we can cooperate and discuss this issue at the level of depth it requires.